The worst.
We had a lot of bad ones.
Oh, I'm not going to enjoy this chat. I don't like looking back.
Do you remember that journey? Barcelona in the new camp. Did you play?
Well, I was out there.
4-0.
Yeah.
Gotham.
But again, Gary, let's get.
Gotham.
Remember, put on about the Champions League. Going back to the time when we were involved, you had to win the league, and then when we were in it, it was knockout, and we couldn't play our strongest team because of the European rule. Do you remember? Those players had to be left out, isn't that?
I was benefiting from it. I was on the bench or playing.
Yeah. So that game in Barcelona, there was a few lads missing one day. There was a few.
Didn't put Schmeichel in goal, did he?
Is that right? Was it?
Yeah. He wanted. I think Ferguson said he wanted his best sort of 10 players on the pitch, so he was the one who was
You
sacrificed.
can play your strongest team, but again, if you're just talking about that game, obviously Barcelona were brilliant. To be fair.
Stoichkov. Oh my! I've never seen anything
Romario.
like it. Romario and Stoichkov. Oh my God.
A few times, there's a few teams I've played against, and generally it was either Barcelona or Real Madrid. No other team has done it to me where you doubt that you're
good
enough. Yeah.
Juventus a little bit in the early days.
No. I never had it with the Italian teams because that was kind of a physical challenge. But with the Spanish teams, even the so-called lesser Spanish, technically they'd keep the ball and you were like chasing. You're like, particularly Barca and Real, when they were in the zone and they had the top players, you were like all the best getting the ball back. They were that night Barcelona. I'm going to say I touched the ball 4 times, and that was in the warm-up. We just couldn't get near them, could we?
No.
It was 4, and we were delighted it was 4.
Well, what was at the time? It was the Cup Winners' Cup for me when we was playing, and who was it? I think we ended up winning it, but I remember Parma, Paris Saint-Germain.
Did you get suspended in the semi-final?
Yeah. That was what I was going to say. That's my worst. That was my worst.
You suspended a lot, weren't you?
Why'd you go in there, Gal? I wasn't suspended a lot.
I think you were.
Yeah, to be honest, I was suspended a lot. But like I remember that game because obviously I got second booking in the Paris Saint-Germain. But they were so good because they had.
Who was playing for them then?
Ginola, George Weah up front, Valdo. And even with Parma, when we beat Parma, I think it was an underrated Arsenal victory, that one, because I think that year when we beat Parma beat Ajax in the semi-final. And obviously Ajax went and won the Champions League the next year, beating AC Milan. It was like so tough. That's where I think the 1-0 to the Arsenal came from. That was...
Well, it wasn't football again, but when you were like, Arsenal was a strong English team, it was when you started going, and you still didn't know too much about, Barcelona, you're still going into the unknown, Parma, you're still going, we're the best team in England, or we're a good team. And then all of a sudden you play against these teams.
I mean,
I think when you play the Bayern Munichs, the Real Madrids, the Milans, and all these teams, I would argue, honestly, at times I've had tougher games in the early rounds of the UEFA Cup, because when you play them teams, everyone's up for it, the crowd's up for it, you know who the players are, you might have played against them international level. I remember the early rounds of the UEFA Cup. I remember we won the UEFA Cup in 2001. The first game we played was against a team called Steaua Bucharest. Oh my God, they were all that big. Everyone was quick and shiny. You're like, you're supposed to beat them 3 or 4-0, and you're like, honest. I think we won 1-0 at home and drew away 0-0. And it was the first round. And I always say, the early rounds of the UEFA Cup are so tough because of you go into sort of that Eastern Bloc. It's just, and the crowd are not as up for it. You think you should win easy. We had tougher games.
We running track around the pitch.
It's just the floodlights aren't working. You know what I mean? You're like,
I remember in the cup we played against Auxerre at France, and they had a player in midfield called Corentin Martins. I'd never seen anyone as good as that. I couldn't understand how he wasn't at somewhere else. Martin Keown was doing a man marking job on him. It was like he was toying with him.
That's why he looked so good.
He was toying with him. It was like Geppetto and Pinocchio. He was toying with him. You're just watching him and you think to yourself, this guy is unbelievable. And I remember when we played, we played AC Milan when they had the team, that same team. Because remember they were, 94 when they hammered Barcelona. Yeah. That was how great they were. We played that team with Desailly, Boban.
Who was manager? It wasn't Capello. Was Capello manager of that team?
Yeah.
I can't remember who the manager was, but it was Massaro was up front, Baresi at the back with Maldini, and that. But you know who it was? Like you say, you see.
Yeah, but he still must have scored, right? He must. No,
they disallowed it. Right. I got disallowed. I was devastated. But when you say you play against teams and you think, wow, they're born to do it. Boban was unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hell. It was just like you're almost like no one could get near. He was quick. He was one touch. He was He was running off. It was like, this is unbelievable.
It's funny, because you say you're playing them games and you think, we've all played those games where you think you're out your depth, don't you? You sit back in the dressing room and think, wow. I actually had more of them in the Premier League than in Europe, because I think, if I think of us with Europe, we're actually quite successful in Europe. And when we were going for the Champions League, the 4 best teams, or let's say the top 6 teams in the Champions League, were always the top 4 from England, plus AC Milan and Barcelona. Real Madrid were having a bit of a stick. So we didn't really have that in Europe in sort of my time with Houllier. Listen, you lost games, don't get me wrong, but that feeling of sort of thinking, wow, sometimes I play against the Arsenal team under Wenger, you'd be like, what? Or you go to Old Trafford and get beat 3-0, and you'd be like,
What just happened?
whoa, you just never felt like you were in the game, or you could get near to anyone. I didn't quite have that in Europe, because Europe for Liverpool it's just like, you feel that's what it is. That's what Liverpool's about, European football, and we've always done quite well in it.
And the journeys back after being beaten in Europe, torture, aren't they? Just going to the airport.
I know.
You know, the one you get back to the airport 2, 3 in the morning, you forget which level you've parked your car on. And you're walking around the car park, pressing your button up when the lights flash. It's like, honestly, the amount of times that happened to me. And even now, I take a picture of the floor that I'm on if I go away and park my car. The amount of times you...
So what was the bad ones for United? Because what I would say
one.
about United, obviously, the domination that you had in the Premier League. But then I think of what other teams did in that era, sort of like a Milan, Real Madrid lately, going back sort of Liverpool, you think of Ajax. Man United never had that domination in Europe that I think you probably should have, considering how dominant you were.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you won 2 Champions League, but they were so far apart from each other, it wasn't like an era of...
We
winning 2
definitely,
or 3.
Jamie, we definitely, like, if you look back and we
You
start breaking,
underachieved.
we definitely left a few games go by, but isn't that football anyway? We can all sit here and go, this game slipped by.
Dortmund, Porto,
Dortmund, Leverkusen. Listen, I'll be
Monaco.
No, you can't win them all. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I honestly, Dortmund.
They're teams United should win.
The Dortmund one, I always remember the Dortmund one because I think Eric retired, didn't he?
Yeah, that summer, yeah.
I think there's almost, I think it was like a week or so later, it felt like.
Yeah, but it's good towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and it was like, it just felt like a big downer, like And the problem was there were times where we would get knocked out of the Champions League quite a lot, quarters, semis, and it would actually dampen the league success a little bit because you still were carrying over from sort of like the loss in the Champions League. I mean, the Monaco one when Trezeguet, I can still now feel the silence when Trezeguet scored for Monaco. He shot from like 30 yards. Yeah. Unbelievable goal. And just the worst feeling I think in football at Old Trafford I ever had was when a European team scored.
Yeah.
Because it was eerie.
Yeah. It's not real, is it?
It's not. It's like surreal. It's like because you knew an away goal counted double and you were done.
What was it like?
Do you know what I mean? That feeling. It's like
Leverkusen and Porto for me. The Leverkusen game is the one that's the one I see.
I broke my foot in the first game of that. And after 20 minutes, Zeriberto was playing against me.
The Leverkusen one, I would probably say right up there because we'd won the UEFA Cup the year before. We're in the Champions League for the first time. We're playing Leverkusen, obviously a good team.
What round were you playing them in?
We played them in the quarters before.
Was that the Ballack side?
Yeah, Ramelow was playing, Schneider,
Zeriberto.
Lucio was at the back. Yeah. But it was still a team that you think you can win. And we won 1-0 at home. And at that time, we weren't amazing attacking-wise, but we always had this feeling that because we'd done it the year before, we could go anywhere and get a clean sheet. We're going to boom.
Yeah.
Well, we've got no away goal against us. We go there, we go 1-0 down and then score to make it 1-1. You're thinking, we're okay. End up losing the game 4-2 and going out. But it was when, I think it still happens now, we knew we would be playing you or whoever you were playing in the quarter. And don't get me wrong, you were a better team than us. You were winning the league. But it was that spell, if you remember, on Gerard Houllier, I think we beat you 4 or 5 times in a row. So even though you were going for the league, it was still like, we've sort of got United's number here. And
we didn't want you. We didn't want you. That.
Yeah.
Did we beat Deportivo in the quarter?
Yeah. Maybe. But I remember them beating you in the. You played them in the group because I remember that Deportivo.
They were good team then. Oh my God, they were
Valeron.
He was brilliant.
France.
Yeah.
I was playing against Fran.
Fran was about 50.
Fran was 56. Right. Okay. He was a bit heavy in his belly.
He was like the same shape as you, wasn't he? No, he was. He was like short.
I couldn't get near him. It's like he was the first player I played against properly. I mean, Del Piero was a little bit like, do you know when you're a right back and you're playing here, but then the player goes and plays in the hole there, the pocket, and you think, do I go in there because the left back's going round? And he's like, oh, yeah, it was horrible. There's a couple that stick in my mind, and I'm going to say this for legal reasons. I think there are a few teams that we played against that weren't clean. We thought it at the time.
What were they too pumped up? They were too pumped.
Must be the Italian teams.
Honestly, I remember me and Giggsy in the mid-2000s.
What was
the only thing I remember.
We were fit. We were fit.
When we played certain teams, I would be walking off and I'd be, you're absolutely shattered. And I remember it. And I'd be looking at players I played against, a couple of Italian teams. And they look like they've not even played a match.
Honestly, I genuinely, and I look back now and I think the sort of the stuff that.
But why can't we talk about that? Are we not?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you can't accuse people of. But what I'm saying to you is,
Staff.
No, we're not naming names or clubs.
We're not naming clubs. No, but my point is, I think that when you look back now, what came out after in cycling and other sports and doctors, and then you think. We thought at the time there were things that I'm sorry, physically we were fit. We weren't drinkers. We were fit. That's not right. There's something not right. I came off a pitch against an Italian team once. That's not right. That's not right. I'm sorry. And I know that a couple of the other lads mid-2000s thought exactly the same thing. And that to me is something that sort of No, there's no excuse.
Italian clubs were investigated for all that. I think there was a coach over there called Zeman. Yeah. Remember he managed sort of. No. No, he's the one who was
documented. People know about this.
No. He was the one who actually said it. No, he said it. Yeah. He accused clubs over there, and it was like a big investigation. He was saying in Italian football, he named 2 or 3 clubs who was saying what's going on behind the scenes here isn't right, and.
Yeah, it wasn't right, and I just think that to be fair, those moments I think were bad. But we had some. Were we naive? I look back now and I think sometimes of the way in which we approach games, because we would just attack work. We would literally go for it. And you think about sometimes if we, I wonder whether we all come together. I don't even know if the manager thinks it. Like you look back at say those games is Dortmund, Monaco, Leverkusen.
Yeah, we never changed our shape, our mindset really. It was about.
He changed a little bit, didn't he, in 2001-2 when he brought Ruud up front and put Scholesy there and Ewan Veron a bit deeper or whatever. That was a change where he said, right, we need to get 3 in midfield in Europe. Yeah. The signing of Veron was to get that 3 in midfield to become more compact.
But you say that, listen, you know better than me, but I actually think the late 90s, I remember it was a big thing that it was like Cantona doesn't do it in Europe, and he used to play Cantona up front on his own a lot. I remember, he was going 3 in midfield, I think, probably late 90s. I remember at the time, it was like Cantona, he's not a centre, there was none of that false 9 stuff, and it was like, you're either a centre forward or, and it was like Cantona's not a centre forward, and out-and-out striker. I remember that late 90s, you tried that.
Do you know what I think about Eric, and it's something, to be fair, I don't speak about Eric a lot, but when I think, we were so young then, we were 20, 21 when Eric was there. But when I think the pressure and the responsibility and accountability he would take if we didn't win in Europe, I felt like he would carry that pressure. Do you feel that? I felt that he literally, it was abnormal. Because he'd won in that season when he came back and he scored all those goals to win us the league, he almost felt like he had to do that, I think, in Europe.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's what you
that's what I'm saying to you. It was unbelievable, really. Yeah. The way in which he assumed, I
always think that because he's such a legend for United. And then after he went, United went on to win Champions League, and then later on with Rooney and Ronaldo. But he had that situation where he obviously fell out with, I think it was Gerard Houllier, so he never really had that, he never got the World Cup either, did he?
Yes.
In terms of what France did in 90. Do you think even though he's such a legend, do you think there's something where he didn't quite do it? International level, he got banned from playing by the manager, but actually taking Manchester United to a European Cup. Do you think that's something, as you say, that he really felt that?
But he said at the time after he retired, after the Dortmund game, that was why he retired. He felt as though he couldn't, the disappointment, that was it. He'd had enough on it. He was an
emotional guy like that, but that's what made him a great lad. But I wouldn't look at Eric's career and look and say he missed out on that. Every player we'll all analyse our careers and go, we missed out on this and I missed out on that. I think what Eric done in terms of lifting United from where they were and getting them over the line in terms of winning the Premier League, and obviously at the time you have to win the league to compete in Europe. I wouldn't kind of that doesn't tarnish.
But he put pressure on himself for that.
That's what great players do, and great characters do, and that's why Eric was loved. I think he enjoyed that collar up, give me the ball and play for Man United, and it didn't quite work out in Europe. I agree, but I think at the time, the challenges for United at the time was you couldn't play your best team. It was a knockout straight away. There's definitely more opportunities, I think, for teams and players now to win the Champions League. I'm not saying it's easier, far from it, but you got at the time again you had to win the league and you couldn't play your strongest team. So I think Eric would have probably had a few hang-ups about that. Of course, like us all, there's stuff we look back on, but it wouldn't take away from what I felt what he'd done at Man United, and that was he did lift the club and get him over the line first and foremost in terms of winning league titles, and that's why I think United fans obviously loved him to bits. And I love the fact he was emotional and he did carry a lot of that what age was he when he left United? Was he 32?
Early 30s, yeah.
Was he? Yeah. But I think Eric was fed up with one or two other things as well. I think off the pitch, and I think there was definitely issues with his contract, whatever. But yeah, that's what I think makes him certainly a great character, and brilliant. Another great lad, but he was. No, he was a good guy in the dressing room, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Good lad to go to battle with.
One of the things I'd say in terms of disappointments was the fact that we played Chelsea so often. I think there's something weird, you know. Don't get me wrong, some of my greatest memories were like when we beat Chelsea in the semi-final. It's great, but we played them 4 times, and you know you'd rather play like a Munich or it doesn't something about playing an English
it's like
team
watching
in
that
Europe.
United against Chelsea in the final.
Yeah.
In
Doesn't
Russia.
feel right, does it?
That was a poor game, that.
No.
And you knew the games would take a lot more out of you emotionally, didn't you?
Yeah. The build-up in the press.
And you
is
play
so
in
much
Europe
more.
to play against obviously the best European teams, but yeah, that's just the way obviously the game was going. More English teams involved. Yeah.
I never played against. I don't think I ever played against an English team in Europe, ever. Played over 100 games in the Champions League, I think, but I don't think I ever played against. Obviously, I didn't play in the final. I was injured in 2008. I don't think you would have done either.
No, I don't think I did either, actually.
Am I allowed to blow my own trumpet just for the one time?
Of course, yeah.
Just for the one.
Oh yeah, blow it. Yeah.
Just for the one time today.
Yeah.
I've played more European games than any other English player in history.
Wow.
Well done, James.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks, Sean.
Congratulations, James. That's brilliant.
150.
Play that many, yeah.
Wow.
Giggs has played nobody's Welsh, isn't he?
Did you play against Celtic and Rangers then? Did you play against them?
My first European game was Celtic at home. Remember when McManaman scored the goal, the dribble at Parkhead?
Yeah.
I just got I was on the bench that night, and my first European game was the return of that. So we drew 2-2 there and drew 0-0 our own, went through on away goals.
right.
So that was my first one, Celtic.
Yeah.
We got beat against Celtic. The Japanese boy scored, and oh my God, we absolutely killed them in the first. I mean, killed them, and we just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and they went and scored. What's he called? The Japanese Nakamura, something like that.
Yeah, I think it is.
Nakamura or something.
He was a good player, and he was obviously really good at set
Yeah.
pieces.
And the
And
best-
Rangers, remember we played against Rangers?
Yeah, and the best that row was the best
Celtic.
atmosphere.
What
The
Rangers?
best atmosphere I've ever
Celtic.
seen in my life was Ibrox as the game was about to. I thought, what the
think so.
is this? I mean, look, Celtic was
Phil
loud.
scored, didn't he?
And Galatasaray was like, but yeah, Phil scored early on.
Galatasaray.
Honestly, for the first couple of minutes, like before the game and when the game started, I've never seen anything like that in my life. Noise.
Yeah.
Ibrox. Honestly, it was unbelievable. Staggering.
Celtic Park's better atmosphere, though.
Yeah. But anyway, Phil scored the winner.
Nice one.
Phil Neville.
Well,
Had a bad
that's,
game that night.
You had a bad one.
Yeah, I was playing against Peter Lovenkrands. He was quick.
Oh, how quick was he?
Oh my God, he was quick. And they just kept putting it over
He
my
seemed
head.
to have a lot of difficult nights. Jesus Christ. I mean, every time we look at a game, I was caught out there. Yeah, did you go in with him?
Really quick.
He was quick. He was quick.
So you just really wanted to be up against a slow, wide player.
We had problems with Fran.
Because they used to go in the pocket and go on the
Michelin
problem.
man. Fran the Michelin man.
Over Mars?
What was the best atmosphere? So you said Ibrox.
I think Galatasaray was something special, but I think Ibrox for noise was the bit because Galatasaray Stadium, Ali Sami Yen Stadium, it was open, it was a bowl, but it was open. They didn't have the sort of roof, whereas obviously Ibrox has the roof around it. So I think for nastiness and hostility, Galatasaray,
Anyway,
and
yeah.
that was unbelievable. And
Everyone always mentions Turkey, and they're right. I always think like Olympiakos and places like that are absolutely mad.
yeah, Panathinaikos.
They're in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stadium. They're in the stadium.
Like 2 hours
3 hours,
before.
like,
Have they got different voice like boxes than we have or something? They've got something going on in here. Have they got microphones in inside the heads or
I
something?
remember we played Torino. We played Torino in a couple. And I've never that atmosphere was amazing with the pyrotechnic and the whistling all game. It was like deafening. You know, when someone's there, you can't hear it. It was deafening.
Score.
No, I don't know.
Do you remember we walked out in Milan, San Siro, to play Inter in the second leg of the quarter-final 99, and they were throwing oranges at us on the pitch? Do
Was it?
you remember that? You don't remember? No?
Apparently you only throw them at the bad players. No, I don't, Gary, honestly. No.
Orange, yeah. Weird.
It's a mad tunnel of San Siro, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the San Siro. It's just so big. Like all the stadiums are like it now. You can drive in and you're going up underneath. But
Hey, they were
it's
decent
just,
into
amazing.
that time, weren't they?
And I remember when we got there, they all had on. It was like fucking going. They just come off a spaceship. They all had like in this long black coat. So when they came in, they were all like,
Giorgio had kitted them out, hadn't they? Giorgio
they had this
Armani.
long coat. We were in our 2 bob tracksuits and stuff.
Yeah.
And they had this long coat. They all fucking came in like Darth Vader. It was like it's so intimidating.
What, they look smarter than you?
Oh, they look
It's
amazing. They look
possible.
really good. They really did look good. It was
I
so
haven't that.
intimidating. Amazing they were.
Always good to play in all them stadiums, aren't it? You know, you're a kid growing up watching Milan's and all these, you know, these teams in the stadium.
Did you want to play the big? I wanted to play. I always remember when the UEFA Cup, 2001, the draw, and it was obviously ourselves, Barcelona, Alaves, and I think a German team. I'm not sure it was, but it wasn't like a Munich or a Dortmund. And the draw happened, and we got Barcelona. And we were watching it on TV, and I was like, yes. But a lot of people going, what? I'm thinking,
I want to play them.
I want to play in the new camp.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like,
Yeah, you
because the
do.
other teams weren't like big names. So I was like, you've got to play in the
You
new
do,
camp,
yeah.
haven't you?
Yeah,
of course
you
you
know,
do.
just like, oh.
Yeah.
I used to like it going over there the day before.
I loved it.
And training in the stadium.
Yeah,
Oh, that was a.
Yeah.
You can take it in more, can't you? 'Cause
Yeah.
when you go out for the warm-up in the game, you've got to like... But when you sort of just look around, aren't you?
But the beauty is
I
when
love that.
you play some of them big teams, and when you're playing for United or a big club, and in England you're kind of and then you come up against these teams, and but they look at you as going, yeah, well, we're as big as you, pal. You know, Real Madrid, Bayern. You go, oh, this is going to be a battle here. You know, they didn't care.
Do you remember when Mick Hucknall trained with us?
That's right.
I just remember the night before the
You
Barcelona.
struggle against him in the training. he kept dropping in their little holes. Someone get to Mick. Hey, Bobby Charlton trained with us one night. Bobby was 60 odd. Bobby joined in.
Yeah, he did
Night
join
before
in.
the game.
Yeah. So it's basically one night. It was we're playing away in Barcelona. I think it was the night we lost 4-0. It was the night we lost 4-0.
Nick's fault. I didn't think he'd start, didn't he? One session, he's straight in. I think the manager he got free tickets for a concert. I'm sure he did.
Yeah, Mick Hucknall trained with us the night before the game. It was quite relaxing. It was nice.
No, but I used to hate all that stuff as well. You know, I know it's the night before, but imagine these lads joining. Imagine that happening now. Fucking ridiculous.
Let's talk about Arsenal, shall we? Because obviously it's a sore point, isn't it, for
Yes, it
Arsenal?
is.
We'd be
Listen,
here all
I
day,
remember-
won't we? It's crazy.
I remember
Sore
once.
point.
I remember when I signed, because obviously they won the league the year before I came, and like you said, you have to win the league to get in it. And we ended up. I wasn't eligible until after the Benfica game. We went there, and I think
Was that straight into knockouts, right? Even then.
I think so. I think so.
They gave you the doing at home, didn't they?
Oh fuck me!
was
You know
that?
the thing is that we went over.
I think it was 3-1 at home.
And it might have been 4.
Who was it?
Benfica,
Benfica.
a guy called Isais. Right, when you play over,
Sounds a good player, doesn't it? Yeah.
I remember the headlines was "Cry your Isais out." Like, but like, you know what? It was one of we went over there, and I think we drew with them. Kevin scored a couple, but then they came and they beat us counter-attacking, and I think off of the back of that, that's when George Graham kind of changed everything to make us more defensive. You know what I mean? Because like we got absolutely torn to shreds on the counter-attack at home. We couldn't get near them.
Did you have to play at Wembley a few games? Was that,
No, that was
a different time?
That was
right?
after.
good
That was
for you,
after because
right?
obviously after that I didn't get to play in it.
It's funny what you say there, because if you go back sort of, I know you're going back a long time, but obviously Liverpool's success in Europe, a lot of it they speak about goes back to Ajax beat Liverpool 5-1 with Johan Cruyff in the 60s, and you know all this. I'm not sure exactly what year. It would have been probably 60s.
Early 70s.
No, I think it might have been a little bit. Cruyff's only like about 18 or 19. Right. He's absolutely just ripped Liverpool to bits. Bill Shankly's the manager. And when you think about Liverpool winning years later, it wasn't, I don't think, hugely exciting football with wingers. Because it was really solid going away from home, getting your 0-0, using the Anfield crowd. A lot of the finals, I don't think, were great spectacles. Yeah, no. You know, Liverpool winning 1-0 in finals, or, you know, Roma penalties, I think. 1-0 at Wembley against, in 78, Kenny Dalglish scores.
Kenny Dalglish for the Chip Bruges.
Winning 1-0 against... Yeah. So when you talk about that, I think that probably happened to Liverpool sort of 20, 30 years before, in terms like, we can't play the way
Did Forest do the same, though? Were Forest a bit like a clean sheets, Brian Clough, Peter Shilton?
Peter Shilton, 100%, yeah.
But the away goal was a killer, wasn't it?
Of course.
Yeah.
The away goal was a killer. I mean, you were done, weren't you?
But do you think... I think that was... I thought that made your European football amazing.
So exciting.
You thought it was better with the away goal?
Yes.
100%, because one goal could take you from losing to winning. Whereas now it's just like, if you get a goal, you go from losing to drawing or drawing to winning. It could just completely
When the team scores against you, it knocks you back, doesn't it?
It's so quiet, isn't it? It's so quiet. It's like everybody realises, oh no, they've got an away goal.
I thought it was special, the away goal.
Jeez,
But them, that Leverkusen, there's certain games, again, I know you have to move on, and like, but Leverkusen, that I can still see Ollie's chance in that game. I stood behind him. You're asking a player, who would you want to certainly hit the target, and Ollie over the bar.
We had one against Chelsea.
I'll bring it up when I see him now. I still mention the chance he missed against him. Forget what a brilliant he was. I went,
You had to take that chance.
fucking hit the target. Egg. We need to get Ollie on the podcast, yeah.
I get Ollie on.
I
Ollie.
get that in video.
Naeem,
welcome to Stick to Football.
Obviously, like with us in the final, when we was in the final, like the second year, and Naeem from the halfway line, it was devastating because like I'd started thinking about I'm gonna take a penalty. He's gonna probably get the fifth one. Fucking looked over. Naeem's just when you see him just fucking.
Was that last minute, Righty?
Fucking last second.
Is that last kick at
Last
extra time?
second. It was like to rip your heart out and let you see it before you fucking fall over. And the thing is, when he hit it, I just thought, you looked at the goalie and you could see he was fucking backtracking. He was like, Jesus. And then when you saw it go in, fucking hell.
Some bit of skill, wasn't it? Wasn't it amazing bit of skill, that?
You know something? The opportunism is what I just thought to myself, you know what I mean? You're not expecting it because I'm thinking about, yes, the penalty's okay.
Where you're going to put it?
Yeah, thinking, and then bam, he does that. And then what happened is that because I was this side and all their fans, Zaragoza, they were all down there. And when you see other fans erupt, just fucking, my heart was broken, trampled upon.
Because you never played the year before when they won it.
No, I got suspended. That was another one. Like the most ridiculous challenge in the semi-final. The fella's fucking going that way and I'm tackling him. He's going back towards goal and I tackled him on the line.
You were suspended more than me, Righty.